Update. Okay, here we are on August the 14th in the year of our Lord 2025. Got a lot of great information for you today. Let's jump over here, Murtech on Rumble. And as you can see, this is the video that you're watching right now, episode 1654. Let's go ahead and get into that. Let me pause that. See this and close the... Oh, hi Debbie BS. She just jumped in there. Glad you could make it. Okay, let's slide down here and click the Show More button to expand out the description box. And we have information from ACLJ, Sekulow, Black Conservative Perspective, BCP, Dr. Steve Turley, and Wendy Bell Radio. Nowhere to hide. Okay, but before we get into that, let me give a shout out here to Prapid, just started following my channel. Linda Nico just started following my channel. Doughman08 just started following my channel. So thank you very much, folks, for following my channel. I greatly appreciate that. I hope you're tuned in, and I hope you enjoy the content. All right, Fisher C45 reposted my video, my daily news wrap-up from last night. And Doc Mag 0087, or Doc Magoo, sorry, Doc Magoo 87 reposted my extra 439B. Debbie BS and Bigjohnperez commented on my episode 1653. Debbie BS commented on my extra 436A. I'm sorry, 436B and extra 436C. And Doc Magoo 87 commented on my extra 439B. So thank you very much, folks, for your comments. I do enjoy reading your feedback, and I appreciate your support. So thank you very much. Let me give this a thumbs up. Boom. There you go. There you go. And by the way, in case you hadn't noticed, I have one of those little thumbs up buttons or icons just below the video that you're watching here. So if you scroll down, slide down, and press that, it'll give you a nice warm feeling down deep inside. Okay, and speaking of comments, Bigjohnperez, comment of the day. Let's go ahead and check on that. And he says, keep up the great work, John. Thank you, John, for your encouragement. I appreciate that. Our Bigjohnperez, sorry. Okay, let's get into this. ACLJ Sekulow, whistleblower, Democrat rushes to FBI to expose Schiff. Like he hasn't had enough exposure. But at any rate, let's see what they have to say. Let me go ahead and share that screen for you. All right, here we go. Oh, let me get it back to the beginning.
Another move in the FBI and the Russia narrative and everything's gone on. So why don't you give it to us straight?
Well, what we're learning more and more is that the FBI did a lot of nothing for quite a long time, unless that was going after President Trump. That seemed to be their MO for quite a while. But this is now information coming out of documents that was transmitted from Kash Patel to Congress in their oversight role, much like the Adam Schiff documents that we saw yesterday, those 302s. This is where we're now seeing more about this pipeline to the media that James Comey had. We knew that he said he leaked a handwritten memo to his friend, that's Daniel Richman, who's
with the intent to leak it.
Right, to get it out there so that he could get a special counsel. That was actually his final salvo when it came to leaking. What we're finding out now is that the FBI was conducting investigations into leaked classified material to various outlets, the Washington Post, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, etc., and that they even interviewed this individual, the law professor, Daniel Richman, and it turns out that he was, according to the reports and to the FBI's documents, Richmond told the FBI his goal was to correct stories critical of Comey, the FBI, and to shape future press coverage. He was interviewed as a part of a classified document leak investigation, and he was asked by the FBI in this investigation called Arctic Haze whether or not he leaked classified information or even confirmed classified information to reporters. And he said he didn't think so, but with a discount. Effectively saying I'm not going to lie to the FBI because that's a federal crime, but I can't say with certainty. I'm going to make you think it's certain, but don't hold me to it. Effectively, what we know is that Comey had a pipeline. We'll get into more details of how he structured this by even making Daniel Richman a special government employee so he could have access and be talked to about SCI, special compartmentalized information, top secret information with this individual, and knowing all along that this was the pipeline to the media. What all this leads to, though, is that this is where Daniel Richman was talking with the FBI, and they asked him, did you confirm or leak classified information to the New York Times, specifically Michael Schmidt, who is the reporter that was on many of these stories, who Daniel Richman had about a decade-long relationship with as being a source. He said, I don't think I did, but with a discount. Effectively meaning I can't tell you for certain if the things I confirmed or didn't confirm were in fact classified. He wasn't denying that he had this source relationship with Michael Schmidt. In fact, he even said that the whole goal of him being brought in by Comey as a special government employee, so he was getting paid by the FBI for this role where he could have SCI clearance, top secret clearance, be able to have these conversations with Comey. And many of the article timelines, it would be he went to a meeting with James Comey to discuss things that were classified. And then he had a meeting with Michael Schmidt, and a few days later, these stories came out. And yet he's saying, I can't be certain if I'm the one who gave the classified. All that to say that his whole purpose of this role with his friend James Comey was to, quote, correct stories critical of Comey. So defending his friend, the FBI, defending the Bureau, and to shape future press coverage. This is all outside of the actual press arm of the FBI.
Yeah, this is
they have that.
Right, exactly. They have a PR firm that's running, or PR department,
exactly, the press office.
But that's not what they're using here. They're utilizing their own. It's really chaotic when you look at it. You look at what they've tried to do, and again, all it really is confirmation of what we kind of knew. But when you see it kind of in black and white, it changes the way you feel about it because there's an assumption, and then there's fact.
What it tells you is that at taxpayer expense, James Comey brought a friend onto the payroll to be a special PR consultant and to go around the official press office of the FBI, which is also on our tax dollars dime, and trained in how to properly provide information to the news media so that laws aren't broken. And he's having discussions with reporters about classified information. And when he's asked, did you confirm or provide that information, he gives, I think, one of the great non-denial answers in American history. It's probably going to be up there with Bill Clinton's, depending what the meaning of the word is when he was trying to parse words about whether he had an interview or had an affair or sexual relationship with his intern, Monica Lewinsky. That was probably the most famous one in the last 30 years. He says, well, I'm pretty sure I didn't confirm the intelligence, and I'm sure, with a discount, I didn't give him the classified documents. If you need a discount on your truthfulness to make that claim, it's a red flag to the FBI that maybe you haven't told them the whole story. And I think what you get to see now is that James Comey wasn't just trying to do good in the country. He wasn't trying to stand up to a president, all the narratives he's given us on his high and mighty media tours. He was worried about how he was being viewed, his reputation. And he brings a guy in, and that guy is having conversations with reporters about classified information. He doesn't dispute that. The question is, did he leak it? And the FBI ultimately couldn't tell from his answer whether he did or didn't. And the Justice Department ultimately, like almost all the leak cases of the last decade, we looked at 6 of them yesterday, no one actually gets punished. They always come to the same conclusion, which is, it looks like this happened, but we can't prove it.
What is so shocking about things in your reporting, both with the Adam Schiff story as well as this James Comey story, is that these two both had what seemed to be like an established way for them to get this information out. Instead of this was a one-off, or they decided to get one thing out to an individual, but whether it be the House Intelligence Committee having staff do that for you, or with James Comey bringing on an individual as a special government employee so you could have these conversations with him to almost legally protect him, but then allow that individual to be your pipeline to the media. It's just shocking that that's what was going on.
I think the next thing I'm going to be focusing on are some documents that show that Hillary Clinton did not only face jeopardy on her email case, there was several foundation corruption cases looking at her foundation as a possible pay to play. We're going to be able to tell people for the first time soon who was shutting that down, who was blocking it. And I think that's going to be an important part of that cycle of protecting Democrats, Hunter, Hillary, whoever it's going to be, Joe Biden, and then demonizing Republicans using the intelligence and law enforcement system. I think those new revelations will move the needle quite a bit.
This is not just fighting a grudge. It's the bigger picture of a government that works for the people, regardless of your political views, that is going to treat everyone the same. If it's illegal for one person, it's illegal for the other person. And we're not going to raid some people's houses, but not other people's houses, because we feel like, you know what, there shouldn't have been any of raids of President Trump and those associates. But some of these guys on the other side, when you look at the information, you wonder why there wasn't action taken quicker. Instead, they were getting little slaps on the wrist. You need to be more careful with your documents. We're finding spies in your office from other countries. Just be a little more careful with how you share this information. You're telling your staff to leak classified information, as one whistleblower reported to the FBI, and no actions taken on that by the FBI. But they put warning outs about Catholic churches. I mean, just remember, that's all going on simultaneously. It's why we have to fight back. You know, when you have a bureaucracy this size, you have to keep them accountable. You have to keep them honest, and you have to be willing to fight. And that's what we want you to do by joining with us so that we can fight those fights for you and on behalf of you at the American Center for Law and Justice. Go to aclj.org right now. Donate, and your gift is doubled. We will get that donation matched. So it is a critical time for you to support the work of the ACLJ. Donate.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and pause that right there and click on the Rumble link and show you that this video does come from American Center for Law and Justice. I'm following the channel. I've given them a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, let me share this page here. Okay, I'm following the channel, giving them a thumbs up. Let's get back here and see what's next. Close this out. And from Black conservative perspective, Black residents furious after government grocery store shuts down due to out-of-control crime. Amazing. Maybe there is something to this. Maybe we should work on the crime in some of these areas. I don't know. Let's see what this is all about. Let me get it back to the beginning for you.
About 24 protesters interrupted the meeting, upset that approved funding to support the Linwood Shopping District had still not been dispersed. Councilwoman Robinson then stood up and moved to add an ordinance calling for the immediate release of those funds. A closed session was called soon after. The issue, shelves at the Sunfresh on 31st and Prospect are bare. Without it, Robinson has warned the area would become a food desert. The store is seen as the anchor of the district. Losing it, residents say, would devastate the community. Despite $750,000 that was approved by council to save the district, nothing again has been paid out. The city tells Fox 4 that's because they have tried to reach them in writing, but have not received a response. Gwen Grant, the president and CEO of the Urban League of Greater Kansas City, criticized what she called a lack of trustworthiness from the mayor and several council members.
The city of Kansas City, Missouri has failed to honor its obligation to our community to keep it safe, to keep it clean, to fund the Linwood Shopping Center so that we can have access to good, fresh food. We want the mayor to stop lying.
Can you just start over?
Yeah, we want the mayor to stop lying, to stop triangulating, stop sending letters saying he's doing something that he's not doing, and be a man, get the job done, have integrity.
A few moments later.
The Sunfresh Market at 31st and Prospect is now closed. Thank you for joining us. I'm Laura Moritz.
And I'm Bria Berry in for Chris Katz. The store has received millions in taxpayer funding. KMBC9's Brian Johnson is live from 31st and Prospect with why they decided to close. Brian.
Well, the city owns this shopping center. We reached out to the operator of the grocery store, and they did not respond to our inquiries today. This afternoon, though, security remains on site. There's public safety, Kansas City Police, as well as the private security here. And if we show you, the sign is now covered by this black plastic tarp. Operators were apparently losing money, and the city says it's invested enough at this point. Finally, the store closed. Now, people in the community say they really rely on this store. For months, the store hasn't had everything in stock, and yet people continue to shop here.
Isn't this what, who is it, Madani in New York is wanting to do? Have government-run stores? You see how well that works out, right?
The next closest grocery stores are Aldi and Happy Foods, both a mile away in different directions. There's another Sunfresh about 3 miles away. Now, the city has spent a lot of money. After bonds, building loans, ordinances, and shortfall transfers, taxpayers have invested nearly $29 million in the store. Some people want to see how that money was spent. Others just want the store back.
But all of a sudden, you roll down here this morning and they're gone, and they're saying they're not coming back. Very disturbing, very inconvenient for our neighborhood.
Boy. So we got to talk about yet again another cautionary tale of what happens when the government is involved in funding things that they probably should not be involved in. And then also on top of that, they're not fighting crime, right? They're letting crime be out of control in these cities across the country, as we're told that crime is down by the mainstream liberal media. But yet you have stories like this. Okay, we talked about this story before. This city-funded grocery store out of Kansas City, Missouri, which is somewhat similar to what Zohran Mamdani, the socialist from New York City, wants to do with the grocery stores there. This Kansas City, Missouri store found out the hard way that the government should not be picking winners and losers and making these types of investments if they're not going to fight crime. Because this grocery store, this Sunfresh, that we talked about a few weeks ago, has now officially shut down. It is shut down after viral footage exposing the struggling store's bare shelves, foul odor, and frustrated customers. And the footage that came out of the situation is very disturbing, right? It's almost like living in a third world country. But just so everybody understands exactly what happened here, this Sunfresh was funded by the city. Okay, they put tens of millions of dollars into this project. Everybody was all excited because there's no longer going to be a food desert, which is a made-up problem by socialists. Socialists make this stuff up in order to justify government intervention that probably shouldn't happen. But anyways, they were all excited not to have a food desert, but it basically ended up with one anyways, because despite the investment from the city and the store being run by for-profit, the for-profit was like, nah, we can't run this. We're good, right? We can't turn a profit. We're out of here. A nonprofit comes in, and now the nonprofit can't run the store either because they're losing money, right? The same reasons that the for-profit could not survive, mainly due to shoplifting, crime. Again, shoplifting so much that they had no money, okay, to restock shelves. And the store had to continue to go back to the city for money over and over and over again. So the city had to continue to pour millions of dollars into this grocery store in order to keep it running, even though it was not turning a profit, right? It was losing money. And this was the result.
Well, the shelves are empty at an East Kansas City grocery store that's gotten millions of dollars from taxpayers. Customers are complaining about the Sunfresh at 31st and Prospect. And that is where we find KMBC 9's Brian Johnson live tonight, getting answers about what's going on here, Brian.
Bria, one thing is certain, there's not a lot of food. In fact, we grabbed the very last bag of Uncle Ray's potato chips. There are no chips left in the store. Tonight, the city council does not have any answers. The store isn't talking. Most people show up to get food, but really, there's not a lot left. Shoppers come to check off their list and buy groceries for the week. Protein, vitamins, fresh fruits, and vegetables.
Now they have nothing. There is nothing. I walked in and I'm like, okay, where's all the food?
Michelle Randolph has been shopping here for years.
The milk, I'm scared to buy some. Even the dates that may have a few days over, I don't want to buy that.
Every aisle is like a ghost town.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause it there. But folks, this is just another example of these lunatic ideas that the Democrat mayor in Kansas City, and they keep voting Democrats in. It's unbelievable. There's lifestyles, their quality of life continues to go down, and they continue. You would think that, maybe we better try something different. No, let's keep voting Democrat. It's worked so far. Yeah, right. Unfreaking believable. Okay, let me click on the Rumble link here and show you that this video does come from Black Conservative Perspective. I am following his channel. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. I want to go ahead and share from one of my sponsors that Rumble has given me. So let's take a look at this.
Ready to level up your game? AIM Controllers is where custom meets unbeatable value, and right now, it's the best deal of the year.
We start with official Sony and Xbox controllers, fully compatible with console and PC, no functionality lost. Then you go wild with custom features, smart bumpers, paddles, grips, stick height, custom buttons, even design your own PS5 snap panels.
And here's the part no one else is doing. Lifetime warranty on all modified parts. That's right, lifetime. What other company does that? Exactly.
Normally, a fully loaded setup could run you $400, but during our one price promo, it's just $209 US or 182 euros, no matter how many features you add. Use code RUMBLE at checkout and lock it in. This is your sign.
Go to aimcontrollers.com and build the last controller you'll ever need.
Now, of course, what was so stunning, Democrat intelligence officer just handed the FBI documented proof that Adam Schiff personally orchestrated the greatest abuse of classified information in American political history. What if this wasn't speculation, conspiracy, or partisan attacks, but sworn testimony from Schiff's own staff, declassified by FBI Director Kash Patel himself? Ladies and gentlemen, butter the popcorn, because we're not just witnessing another political scandal. We're watching nothing less than the complete unraveling of the Democrat hoax machine, and ironically, it's all coming from inside their own dysfunctional house. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, here to help you make sense of all the madness as the far left desperately tries to stop the unstoppable rise of a new conservative age all over the world that you're making happen. So if you want a front row seat on how you are changing the world in ways you never even imagined, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. The Schiff has hit the fan. As many of you know, the ultra-repulsive California Democrat Adam Schiff has just been rocked with bombshell allegations that he intentionally leaked classified information, which is a felony, in order to hurt President Trump during his first term. Now, ironically, not only did that classified information turn out to be completely bogus, it was all fabricated nonsense as part of the Russian collusion hoax that Schiff was very much a part of. But as it turns out, what makes this story absolutely explosive is that this accusation isn't coming from Republicans. It isn't coming from conservative media. It isn't coming from Trump supporters. This accusation is coming from a career Democratic intelligence officer who worked for Democrats on the House Intelligence Committee for over a decade. Apparently someone who even considered Adam Schiff a personal friend, someone who watched the Russia hoax unfold from the inside, and someone who finally could not stay silent anymore. In 2017, this whistleblower claims to have sat in an all-staff meeting where Schiff made a declaration, a public declaration, an unabashedly public declaration that should send chills down every American spine. According to the declassified FBI report, Schiff told his staff that he was going to intentionally and deliberately leak classified information, which was derogatory to then President Donald Trump, his first term, and that this information would indeed be used to indict President Trump. Now, of course, what was so stunning here was how blatant Schiff apparently was. Schiff wasn't hiding what he was doing. This wasn't in the shadows. He was blatantly showing off. He was assuring his staff that Trump's days were numbered, that he was going to go the way of Richard Nixon, and that it was Adam Schiff that was going to bring him down. When the whistleblower objected, calling the plan blatantly illegal and a felony, he was apparently assured by unnamed staff members that, don't worry, we're never going to get caught leaking classified information, since, after all, we're the ones who control the system. Now, what's so key to get here, my namesake, Jonathan Turley, law professor at George Washington University, is pointing out, what's so key is we know someone is engaging in criminal behavior in all of this. We know that. Either it's Adam Schiff or it's the whistleblower making the accusation, precisely because it's a crime to lie to federal investigators. And that fact alone, the fact that we know somebody is criminal here, that adds a lot of credibility to these accusations, especially given the fact that they're coming from a fellow Democrat. The fact that this whistleblower would face criminal liability for providing false information to the FBI suggests that he or she is telling the truth, which then means, by definition, that Schiff committed a felony. The unauthorized disclosure of classified information violates multiple federal statutes, resulting in years of prison upon conviction. And then you add to that Schiff's pattern of behavior where he repeatedly made false claims about possessing secret evidence of Russian collusion that was never produced because it never existed. It certainly suggests that this whistleblower's accusations are in line with Schiff's public lying about Trump, which, of course, he was censured for by his fellow congressmen in the House. Here's just a slight sample of the out-and-out fraudulent lies that this freak repeatedly and publicly spewed.
In which the Russians offered help, which we know they did. The campaign accepted help, which we know they did. The Russians then delivered help, which we know they did.
There is circumstantial evidence of collusion.
The case is more than that, and I can't go into the particulars, but there is more than circumstantial evidence now. So
you've said on more than one occasion that you've seen ample evidence of the Trump campaign's Russia collusion. Last March, you said you had more than circumstantial evidence of treasonous collusion with Russia.
I've certainly said that there's ample evidence of collusion.
Can you agree that there has been no evidence of collusion, coordination, or conspiracy that has been presented thus far between the Trump campaign and Russia?
No, I don't agree with that at all. I think there's plenty of evidence of collusion or conspiracy.
But we do know this. The Russians offered help. The campaign accepted help. The Russians gave help, and the president made full use of that help. And that is pretty damning.
Reviewing the evidence that I have.
Everything. I mean, literally everything you just heard there was a lie. Everything was a lie. Now, you take that pattern of lying behavior and you overlap it with these accusations that would be criminal for the accuser if the accuser were lying, and you have a very damning case against Adam Schiff. But if you can believe it, things get even worse. It ain't just Schiff. Wait until you see who else is facing the same charges of deliberately leaking classified information. This is going to blow you away. Hey, gang, you ever feel like your mind is ready?
Okay, he's going into a commercial here, so let me skip past that. And, you know, they talk about this, but this was back, I believe, there's a statute of limitations. Okay? This was back in 2017. That was 8 years ago. All right, I believe the statute of limitations on some of these things are like 5 years or 7 years or what the frick ever. So, yeah, it's nice that it's coming out, but they can't do a damn thing to him. This guy held off just long enough so that, yeah, okay, you know about it. What are you going to do about it? I don't know. I don't know.
15% off. Take control of your mental wellness with MindLift today. The whistleblower did not stop with Schiff. He also fingered the California Representative Eric Swalwell as another leaker. Yes, the same Eric Swalwell, who had to explain his relationship with the Chinese spy Fang Fang. It's just still stunning to me that he's even allowed to hold on to his seat after all that. It's almost poetic. The congressman who was compromised by Chinese intelligence was simultaneously leaking American intelligence to damage his own president. Now, according to the New York Post, the whistleblower recounted how a particularly sensitive document was seen by a small group of lawmakers and staff, including Schiff and Swalwell, but leaked out almost verbatim within a day. The whistleblower allegedly claimed to have been warned to be careful because Swalwell had a reputation for leaking classified information. Now, perhaps the most infuriating part of this entire scandal is that the FBI knew about this for years and apparently did nothing. So this whole situation raises important questions about the FBI's handling of the original whistleblower complaint. Did the FBI fully investigate these allegations, again, made back in 2017, or did they cover it up? Did the whistleblower gave 4 separate interviews to the bureaus starting in 2017, provided very specific information about Schiff's illegal activities. What was the response? It appears to have been radio silence. Moreover, what did other staffers who were present at that meeting where Schiff reportedly admitted to leaking classified information, what did they tell investigators? Were they even asked? You see, that obviously would either corroborate or it could refute the whistleblower's account. If everyone's saying the same thing under penalty of perjury, then again, a case against Schiff becomes very, very strong. Is that why it was covered up? Finally, what makes this revelation so perfectly fitting is how it exposes the Democrats' favorite tactic. And that, of course, is projection. The Democrats have become masters of accusing Republicans of precisely what they themselves are doing. For years, Schiff and his allies screamed about Trump's dangerous handling of classified information. All the while, they were systematically weaponizing classified intelligence for political warfare. The man who spent years lecturing America about threats to democracy was literally conspiring to use America's most sensitive intelligence capabilities with fraud to boot to undermine a democratically elected president. FBI Director Kash Patel's decision to declassify these documents represents masterful political strategy. In a single stroke, he both exposed the weaponization of our intelligence agencies against a duly elected president and implicated the congressmen, both the congressmen who were doing it. He's draining the swamp through both revelation and investigation. And as I'm sure you guessed, this is just the tip of the iceberg. This isn't just about Adam Schiff. Kash has made it absolutely clear that this is the first of several major leak investigations and that other major people were clearly identified by the FBI as having leaked classified secrets, guilty of felonies. So we are watching the systematic exposure of a vast conspiracy that goes far beyond one congressman's personal vendetta against President Trump. That said, Adam Schiff thought he was untouchable. For years, he leaked classified information with impunity, manipulated by media narratives, and weaponized congressional investigations while hiding behind congressional immunity and a friendly Justice Department. And by the way, those pardons, they're only for J6. They ain't for this. Those days are over. With the Trump administration conducting thorough investigations, Kash Patel declassifying evidence, and whistleblowers providing sworn testimony, the reckoning Schiff has avoided for years is finally at hand. The man who spent his career accusing others of treason now faces the very real possibility of being charged with the crimes he projected onto his political enemies. Justice may be slow, but it's finally coming for Adam Schiff. And thanks to his own staff's conscience and courage, the evidence is overwhelming, documented, and it appears undeniable. The Schiff files are just the beginning. As Kash Patel promised, more revelations are indeed coming. The deep state's day of reckoning has finally arrived, and it's going to be everything America has been waiting for. Have you locked?
All right, let me pause that there. And yes, there's a lot of information being exposed. We'll just have to wait and see if anything comes of this exposure. All right. Let me click on this Rumble link and show you that this video does come from Dr. Steve Turley. I'm following the channel. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, let's jump back here, and we've got some more information that I want to share with you here. Let me open this back up. More information I want to share with you here from Wendy Bell. But before we get into that, I am in the Rumble Creators Program. Okay, and these are my expectations for them to promote my videos, promote my channel. And our stream from Rumble Studio this month, 84. They want me to do 30. Okay, I've got that almost tripled. Here it is, the 14th. Hours watched this month, 200. I've got almost 2,000. 1.97 thousand hours. Well, it's 1,970 some hours. So I've got that times 10. And here it is, the 14th of the month. Let's skip down here. Rumble exclusive hours streamed, 10.5 out of 5. I've got that doubled. And Rumble Studio host reads, 15. They want 5. And that was that, like the AIM controllers. That's what they want me to promote. The only thing that I'm missing here is total unique chatters this month. Now, there's a lot of people that chat with me, Debbie BS and others. But if one of you that are watching right now, I've got like 22 people watching. If one of you could just open that chat box and give me a chat so I could get that last. I'm 19 out of 20. I need one more to reach my goal for this month. So I would greatly appreciate that. Okay, and with that being said, and without further ado, let's go ahead and see what Wendy has to say. Nowhere to hide. Now, she starts out in her monologue, a lot of times telling some personal information, and I guess she had some network issues in her house. Because she also does a live stream on Newsmax. And for some reason, the connectability with Newsmax was having a problem. She had the cable company come in, and I believe the guy's name was Tony. But she's going to refer to this Tony guy because he fixed her problem. She's had this problem for like 5 years. And she's amazed about how he fixed it. And he's even going to come back tomorrow to make sure that everything's running right. And according to her, it is fixed. But let's take a listen. I'm going to start this off at the beginning of her second segment. And she's going to talk a little bit about that right here.
In 5 years.
Yeah.
And no matter who they send out, it never gets fixed. And that yesterday it got fixed.
That's a wild feeling.
It was almost like
Welcome back to the Wendy Bell Radio program. So the corporate-owned media, the networks refuse to cover the bombshell about Adam Schiff, that dirtbag, that perennial liar, right? Leaking Russiagate dirt on Donald Trump for the sole intention of destroying his presidency. I mean, it's so gross. Why anybody pays attention to these folks on the news, I'll never know. Just know if you're watching, you're being conned. If you're listening, you're being propagandized. Though it was very interesting, I saw this morning on Morning Joe. Joe Scarborough, Mika, his wife, and the other gang of fools all of a sudden now think it's okay to start talking about crime in D.C. It's a 100% to 0% issue, Democrats. If you want to get behind criminal illegal aliens, you want to get behind the transgender ideology nonsense and mutilation of children, if you want to get behind open borders and all of the stuff that comes with that, including rampant crime, if you're going to defend the people who injure the men and women and the children of this great nation, you are going to lose. You're on the wrong side. And it's not a flip. It's 100 to nothing. And lo and behold, this morning, all of a sudden, it seems like some of the Democrats were like, we're losing this battle. We better start telling the truth. Well, that's kind of a refreshing approach. So our friends John Solomon and Jerry Dunleavy been dropping these bombshells Monday and Tuesday. Just the news that memos released by FBI Director Kash Patel showed a career intelligence officer who worked for Democrats on the House Intelligence Committee repeatedly warned the FBI beginning in 2017 that then Representative Adam Schiff, who's failed upwards to become a United States freaking senator, had approved leaking classified information to smear then President Donald Trump over the now debunked Russiagate scandal. Well, since that article went live, about 8:30 p.m. Eastern time on Monday, the liberal broadcast networks ABC, CBS, and NBC ignored it on their flagship morning and evening newscasts, further illustrating their collective refusal to accept responsibility for their role in trying to delegitimize the first Trump presidency. In contrast, and I'm no Fox News lover, the Fox News channel has provided extensive coverage. This is from Newsbusters, by the way, Media Research Center. Fox News has provided extensive coverage of both its news and its opinion shows. The number 2 story on Brett Baer's special report Tuesday, telling viewers that, quote, Schiff is being accused by a fellow Democrat of leaking classified information relating to the Russiagate scandal. Schiff's office is denying those claims, of course. Goes on to give you all sorts of things that the various people at Fox have said. Zero ABC, 0 NBC, 0 on CBS. The networks have other priorities. Along with their repeated dismissals of crime in Washington, D.C. being a major problem, they've made other choices. You want to know what they covered instead of Adam Schiff being a filthy scumbag? You know what? That's almost putting it too nicely. There's got to be another word for it. I'll have to search deep into my thesaurus. Figure out what I can say about this vermin, this complete viper, this scoundrel, this traitor, this complete vile human being. On ABC, Tuesday's World News Tonight, with David Muir, and on Wednesday's Good Morning America, both led with Tropical Storm Erin, even though its current track is to stay well off of our shores. And over on Tuesday's NBC Nightly News and Wednesday's Good Morning America, they each had full segments on the rise in theft of Labubu dolls. I don't even know what that is. ABC, CBS, and NBC? Let's see. Repeated dismissals of crime. CBS's Tuesday Evening News was crestfallen about a dreamer ending up at Alligator Alcatraz. Literally, that's what they covered. That's what you get if you watch the network news. You don't get the facts. You don't get the story. You don't get the truth. You don't get the breadcrumbs. You don't get the dots. You never get them connected. You never get the truth. How do you change that? Well, there's got to be a wholesale rejection of typical media. And being a product of the television news industry, and once a very proud deliverer of it, as a television news reporter and news anchor for almost 30 years, I will be the happiest woman, not just when my internet actually is fixed, which it is now, but when nobody flips on the lying propaganda that every day across the entire country lies, obfuscates, omits, predictably. Do you think they're going to talk about the bombshell that we heard about yesterday? Well, this is what's coming up, all right? Do not go anywhere. We've got the story of newly declassified timelines showing how the investigation of the Clinton Crime Family Foundation was hamstrung by the FBI. What? Why? Why wouldn't they investigate Hillary and Bill, but they'd go after fake news for Donald Trump? Oh, it almost seems so clear and obvious. You won't get that tonight on the news. You will get it on the Wendy Bell radio program in about 6 minutes. Do not go anywhere. We're back right after this.
Okay. There we go. More information that's been released. And of course, the mainstream media is just ignoring it.
She's lovely. I don't want to felt that way. And I've not felt as strong as I've felt. So that's strong molecularly to your blood pressure. I will say.
She's still going through her commercials here. Let me check something out. Okay, I do want to share one more quick one here. 43 seconds before we get back to Wendy. From Westwood One Sports. One of those reads that I was telling you about when I showed you my statistics. Let's go.
Set your clocks, mark your calendars, and buckle up for the best NFL primetime football action.
Starting September 4th on Westwood One, you can catch all the bone-crushing hits, last-second heroics, and edge-of-your-seat action that NFL Thursday, Sunday, and Monday nights have to offer.
Whether you're tailgating, driving, or chilling at home, don't miss a single snap.
Listen on the NFL app, the Westwood One Sports app, at westwoodandsports.com, or just say, Alexa, open Westwood One Sports.
If it's the NFL, it's on Westwood One.
Okay, thank you for watching.
You gotta love Kash Patel. You gotta love Tulsi Gabbard. You have to love John Radcliffe. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. You know, I am particularly grateful for all of you. Thank you so much for doing what you do to make this program the success that it is. It's truly extraordinary. I just wanted to get that out of the gates. We really appreciate you. And we work very hard to give you what I believe is the best, most accurate slice of news every single day. This is the big story, okay? Bombshell FBI timeline exposes political interference in the Clinton corruption probe. We've got all sorts of Hillary Clinton's got to be so sphinctered up right now, it's not even funny. If she was on tranquilizers before, she better be asking for Joe Biden's hyperbaric chamber, because I swear to you, there's no way for this woman to ever relax again. We know what's going on, Hillary. We all thought that the Clinton Crime Family Foundation that you and Bill established right before the election in 2016, right? We all thought that was kind of a curious thing. And when the tens and hundreds of millions of dollars of donations came in from foreign governments, we were like, you know what? That seems really pay to play-ish. You know, I'm no like expert on money laundering and all that stuff and on influence and paying for the ear of who might be the next president.
Okay, I don't want to be a party pooper here and interrupting Wendy. 2016, okay, that was 9 years ago. I think the most on statute of limitations is 7 years. Now, unless you continually did stuff, which you may have, I don't know, that 2016 stuff is meaningless, other than it's just, something nice to talk about. Nothing will be done to hold them accountable, to have them face the consequences of doing illegal shit, because Democrats can get by with anything, even destroying a country.
But this has all the earmarks of it, right? Well, bang, 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 your common sense is correct. So this newly declassified timeline shows all of the information. And this is John Solomon's baby, so let's bring it to you from justthenews.com. FBI Director Kash Patel, my friends, has uncovered a bombshell memo written back in 2017 that chronicles the extensive political obstruction that career agents in 3 cities faced from their own bosses and from the Obama Justice Department during the 2016 election, as they probed whether Hillary Clinton engaged in a pay-to-play corruption scheme involving her family foundation. Shut it down. Then Deputy Attorney General Sally Yates is quoted as demanding in the detailed timeline of political impediments that agents in New York City, Little Rock, Arkansas, and Washington, D.C. reported. You've got the assistant, the Deputy Attorney General, Sally Yates, going to the FBI and the DOJ and saying, you know what, shut it down. Anybody wants to talk about what Hillary Clinton and the Clinton Foundation are doing, stop it. We don't want to go there. I'm sorry. Really? These FBI agents who knew they were onto something tried to get the help of federal prosecutors to determine whether or what crimes occurred while Hillary Clinton served as Secretary of State, most notably because at that time, her family foundation solicited hundreds of millions of dollars from foreign and U.S. interests with business before her department. Well, if you wanted to keep that secret, what would you probably need to have? Oh, yeah, that's right. A private email server that the government wasn't monitoring, that had no paper trail? Really? The timeline, written by a Department of Justice lawyer who was assigned to the FBI under former Bureau Director James Comey, was recently secured by top aides to Patel, along with several corroborating internal emails, and was obtained by Just the News. Together, they make clear that both the DOJ and former Deputy FBI Director Andrew McCabe placed significant impediments in front of agents who believed they had evidence to justify a public integrity criminal case. The declassified timeline revealed that as early as February 2016, the Justice Department indicated that they would not be supportive of an FBI investigation. Really? The timeline also shows that in mid-February 2016, Andy McCabe ordered that no overt investigative steps were allowed to be taken in the Clinton Foundation investigation, quote, without his approval, a command he allegedly repeated numerous times over the coming months. The roadblocks just kept coming, the timeline shows, to the great frustration of the agents and the U.S. Attorney's Office in Little Rock, which had moved to a fully predicated criminal investigation. Patel's discovery of the memo and related emails, which is the equivalent of my guy Tony yesterday in my basement pulling that cable of nothing out of my walls, right? Patel's discovery of the memo and related emails comes at a pretty sensitive time, as Attorney General Pam Bondi has approved the use of a strike force and a grand jury to investigate whether law enforcement and intelligence abuses over the last decade amounted to a criminal conspiracy to protect Democrats like Clinton and Joe Biden while inflicting harm on President Trump and his followers. Officials told Just the News that DOJ also has secure potential cooperation from current and former prosecutors and agents who were willing to assist any investigation and possible obstruction of the Clinton probes. Oh, seems like some of these people who got big-footed are kind of pissed about it. And they're like, oh yeah, I have my timeline. I have my files. Do you want to see my spreadsheet? I've got a PowerPoint right here. Click. Oh no. The timeline detailed how Sally Yates, again, Deputy AG, ordered one of the federal prosecutors to, quote, shut it down, likely in the March 2016 timeframe. Hillary was running for president. They sure wouldn't want to sully her opportunity to win, would they? The same way they squelched the Hunter Biden laptop. It's Russian disinformation. Really? Federal prosecutors in the Southern District of New York and Eastern District of New York purportedly said in August of 2016 that they would not support the investigation into the Clinton Foundation and that no explanation was given. Well, this is very interesting. And John Solomon last night breaking the news saying this: Kash Patel found this email that connects the dots. And I'm telling you what, ladies and gentlemen, there's going to be very little opportunity for Hillary and co. to wiggle out of this one. Here's John Solomon.
We now have a timeline that the FBI has had for more than 8 years showing repeated political interference in a career FBI agent's efforts to investigate corruption, pay-to-play allegations against the Clinton Foundation. This timeline confirms that three separate FBI offices had opened investigations. One was a fully predicated criminal investigation. Two were preliminaries to determine if a full criminal should begin. In all circumstances, beginning in the summer of 15 as the 2016 election with Hillary Clinton was ramping up through the end of the first year of the Trump presidency, senior Justice Department officials repeatedly thwarted the FBI from investigating. When Donald Trump was chanting, lock her up on Hillary Clinton, Sally Yates was chanting back to the FBI, shut it down. She gave them an explicit instruction for the FBI to stop investigating
John,
Hillary
wait a minute.
Clinton.
I don't shut her down. Those are the actual words. We're looking at the documents. We see a lot of blacked out redactions, but you're saying those words, shut it down. Wow.
That's right. And then Andrew McCabe, the deputy FBI director, somebody who had a relationship with Terry McCullough because McCullough helped fund Andy McCabe's wife's campaign. He eventually gets conflicted out of Hillary Clinton's cases. He tells the FBI agents, you do nothing unless you come through me. That slows it down. Then the FBI agents, believing they have a real criminal case of pay-to-play corruption, public integrity corruption, they go to the U.S. attorney's offices in Manhattan, in Brooklyn, in the Washington, D.C. area, in the Little Rock. And the prosecutors tell them in 3 of those 4 locations, you might want to proceed, but we will provide you no prosecutive help. But this is the equivalent of an offense running into the steel curtain defense of the Pittsburgh Steelers in the 70 Super Bowls run. Nothing they could do could punch through so that they could find out the truth about Hillary Clinton and corruption. This is political obstruction. It may be criminal obstruction. And tonight I have confirmed that some of the prosecutors who were pressured not to look at this case are beginning to cooperate with the Justice Department. Kash Patel, the FBI director, found this document, just like he found the Adam Schiff document earlier this week, the one we talked about last night in Comey. FBI unearthing some of the most deeply held secrets of the FBI, and now prosecutors and whistleblowers coming out of the woodwork to cooperate. That gives some momentum to what the Justice Department wants to do, which is see if any of this rises to the level of criminality.
All we needed was one person to care. We got him. We got him, and he has his team. Meantime, over at the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, newly declassified emails over there show former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper wanted the FBI, the CIA, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, and the NSA on the same page to smear, to lie about, to take down President Trump. And he called it, quote, a team sport. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard revealed declassified emails showed that former DNI James Clapper directed intelligence officials to compromise on regular procedures regarding a January 2017 Intelligence Community Assessment report. In a post on X, Gabbard showed photos of an email thread between Clapper and former National Security Agency Director Mike Rogers. In the email thread, Clapper wrote that it was, quote, essential that the CIA, NSA, FBI, and Office of DNI were, quote, on the same page. Sounds like collusion. Clapper added in the email, quote, we may have to compromise on our normal modalities since we must do this on such a compressed schedule. We've got a limited amount of time to try to take down this guy Trump. We need to work together. It's kind of outside the box where we normally work. But look, Donald Trump is a threat to democracy. He's the one who's going to unravel everything that we've been up to. We must stop him. So put aside all of your biases and all of your personal feelings of duty and come together and do what needs to be done. It's for the greater good. Gabbard added that Clapper had admitted it was a team sport, which required a compromise on these normal modalities. Proof, ladies and gentlemen, that all of this wasn't just BS, that all of the lies they concocted to sully President Trump, it was all coordinated, it was premeditated, and it was executed by a gang of merry traitors. Now, how much do you think ABC, NBC, and CBS are going to cover that today? Well, we will. In fact, when we come back on the Wendy Bell Radio.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause here. Folks, I'm 48 minutes into her 2-hour and 59-minute video, and it's full of great stuff. Okay, I need to move on here. I want to do one more read for you, and then I need to get started with my daily news wrap-up. But let me go ahead and click on this Rumble link and show you that this video does come from Wendy Bell Radio. I'm following the channel. I've given her a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, let's come back here, and let me remind you that these videos, I'm running a little bit over, but I think that was good information. These videos do come directly from the producers that created them. I'm sharing this information with you just to get the word out, okay? And hopefully you'll share this along with others. I don't get any commissions or royalties for sharing this information, but I do get the satisfaction of sharing it with you and you knowing the truth and not having to rely on the lying legacy mockingbird media for your information. So let me click over here at Murtech.com and remind you that I will have my daily news wrap up about 9:30 this evening. So go ahead and take a break, grab a cup of coffee and a donut or a sandwich and a soft drink or a beer, and come back, meet me here at 9:30, and we'll get the daily news wrap up started. But in the meantime, I do want to thank you for your time. Hopefully, I will get to see you again later, and may God bless.